Chiricahua.
Senator from Oklahoma is recognized.
I have some.
Senate is currently in a quorum call.
I ask that the quorum call be dispensed with.
Without objection, so ordered. Objection is heard.
You deal with it.
Mr. President, I ask that your
Senator from Oklahoma is recognized.
That the quorum call be dispensed
without objection, so ordered. Under the previous order, the leadership time is reserved. Under the previous order, there will now be a period of morning business until 10 a.m. with the time equally divided between the two leaders or their designees.
Mr. President.
Senator from Oklahoma.
I wish to speak in morning business and will confine my remarks to the objections that I just made to the leader's motions.
Without objection.
I'm simply amazed that when we're borrowing $4.2 billion a day from our grandkids, that's what we're borrowing, $4.2 billion a day. We're going to run a $1.4 trillion deficit, and we have unanimous consent requests to move to things that spend more money that we don't have, that we're going to borrow from the Chinese or the Russians to be able to pay for it, and we're going to spend the money overseas. There's no question that we should try to develop consensus in our body, but the first consensus we should have is the priorities of the problems that are facing this country. And the problems that are facing this country are so big and so massive that our attention ought to be focused on those large problems, not on 5 separate bills that have been proffered for special interest groups. I don't understand the motivations, but what I do understand is the American people get it even if we don't. And the fact that we're going to make attempts for political purposes to put bills that aren't paid for, that will add to the $4.2 billion a day that we borrow on the floor when our economy is languishing because we continue to grow the federal government, continue to build regulations that affect and diminish the desire for people with capital to invest it in our economy, and we force people out of this country to build their plants and manufacturing facilities because of our regulation and tax codes. I don't understand it. So my objections, I won't spend the time exactly outlining my objections to all these bills, but my overall objection is the priorities that we're setting in the Senate. We ought to be about creating confidence so people will invest in this country, rather than to continue to undermine that confidence with superfluous, well-meaning bills that are put up for political purposes instead of addressing the real problems that are facing our country. And out of a courtesy to Senator Reid, an agreement that I just made with him, I will not offer my unanimous consent at this time, but I will later today after he's had a chance to read them on both the following 5 bills. The Veterans Second Amendment Protection Act. 140,000 veterans in this country have lost their Second Amendment rights. They've never been adjudicated that they were a danger to themselves or anybody else, yet a bureaucrat somewhere has taken away their Second Amendment rights. This bill's come out of committee twice. Senator Burr's the lead sponsor on it. We treat veterans as second-class citizens when it comes to their Second Amendment rights, and we ought to pass that. I'll ask for that unanimous consent later. The Firearms Fairness and Affordability Act. We make firearms manufacturers pay their taxes every 2 weeks instead of quarterly like every other manufacturer in this country. But we penalize them, so we ought to treat them the same as everybody else. The Earmark Transparency Bill, which gives one website so everybody in America can see where the earmarks are, who offered them, what the basis for it was, whether they were competitively bid. That's something America would like to see. And then 2 tax cheat bills. for us as members of Congress and our employees, and then other federal employees. So I won't offer those unanimous consent requests at this time, but I will later in the day. Again, there are important, big problems in front of this country. We need to be about addressing those rather than special interest favors at this time. And I yield the floor and notice the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Okaka.